Rain drummed against the glass as Ava Stone, the CEO of StoneTech Industries, stared out from her penthouse window. The city glowed beneath her, but she felt nothing. Not the light, not the sound, just emptiness. 2 years had passed since the accident that took her mobility. The car crash that shattered her spine also shattered her will to live. Everyone called her inspiring, but when the cameras were off, she sat alone. The chair beneath her was cold, the silence heavy. Tonight, her best friend Lauren had begged her to go on a blind date, something to reconnect with life. Ava had resisted, but finally gave in, just to stop the pleading. Fine, she'd said, one dinner. But if he starts talking about my bravery, I'm leaving. Now, in the quiet restaurant downtown, Ava waited. The sound of silverware clinking and quiet chatter filled the air. Her reflection in the window looked strong, polished, but she could see the sadness behind the eyes. She hated pity. She hated sympathy. She missed being seen. Then the waiter approached. Ms. Stone, your guest is here. She turned, and froze. The man who walked in wasn't what she expected. He wasn't wearing a suit. He wasn't polished. His hands were stained with grease, his jeans worn. He looked confused, glancing around before spotting her. He approached awkwardly. Ava. She nodded slowly. You must be Ryan. He smiled, a little nervous. Yeah, Ryan Miller. Sorry, I'm late. My car kinda died on me halfway here. Ava arched a brow. A mechanic's car broke down. He grinned sheepishly. Hey, even doctors get sick. Ava couldn't help it. A small laugh escaped her. It felt strange, but good. They sat. The conversation started awkwardly. She talked little, he talked a lot. He told her about his small repair shop, how he rebuilt engines just for the joy of seeing them run again. So, you fix broken things for a living, she said softly. Yeah, he said, smiling. You could say that. Something in the way he said it made her heartbeat quicken. When dinner ended, Ava expected the usual, an awkward goodbye, maybe a forced compliment. But as Ryan wheeled her to her car, he noticed her struggling with her chair's joystick. Mind if he asked. No one touches my chair, she said sharply. He raised his hands in surrender. Fair enough, but he didn't pity her. He didn't look at her like she was fragile. Just human. The next morning, Ava received a message. Had a good time last night. Dinner was great, but next time, I'm cooking. My shop has better lighting. Ryan. She stared at the message for a long time. No man had ever invited her into his world since the accident. Something about it made her heart stir. A week later, she went. His garage was messy, tools scattered, radio playing softly. He'd cleared a space for her chair, and she saw that he'd built a small ramp out of old wood planks. You built this? She asked. He shrugged. Didn't want you stuck outside. She smiled for the first time in months. They spent hours talking. Ryan told her about his past, how his father taught him to fix things but died when he was 20. He'd dropped out of college to keep the shop running. And Ava, she told him things she hadn't told anyone. About how the crash happened. About how her fiancé had left 2 months after she was paralyzed. About how she'd built walls around her heart so no one could hurt her again. Ryan listened quietly, never interrupting. When she finished, he said, You know, broken things aren't useless, Ava. They just need someone patient enough to see what still works. Her chest tightened. You really believe that? He nodded. Every day. Weeks turned into months. Ava found excuses to visit his shop, sometimes with coffee, sometimes just to watch him work. He taught her how to identify engine parts by sound, how to read the rhythm of a machine. And slowly, she began to smile again. But the world doesn't let the powerful fall in love easily. One morning, Ava's board of directors confronted her. Photos had surfaced online, her with Ryan, the grease-stained mechanic. Investors whispered, a CEO dating a blue-collar worker. It's bad for the company's image, they said. When Ryan heard, he packed up his things. You don't need this kind of mess, Ava. I get it. She looked at him, pain in her eyes. You think I care what they say? You should, he said quietly. You've got an empire to run. I've got a junkyard. He walked away before she could stop him. For weeks, she buried herself in work. But every time her chair hummed, every time she heard the sound of an engine, she thought of him. One night, she wheeled herself to the window and whispered, He fixed me, and I let him go. The next day, she made a decision. She canceled her morning meetings, ordered her driver to take her downtown, and rolled into Ryan's garage. He was there, covered in grease, wiping his hands with a rag. "Ava," he said, surprised. She smiled softly. "You still fix broken things?" He chuckled. "Depends what's broken." She took a breath. "My heart." The silence stretched. Then, slowly, he knelt beside her, his rough hand brushing against hers. "Guess I'll have to take a look." Tears filled her eyes. "They said you weren't good enough for me." "And what do you say?" She smiled through the tears. "I say they don't know what it means to be whole." He leaned forward, pressing his forehead to hers. "You know, maybe you were never broken, Ava. Maybe you just needed someone to remind you how to run again." Months later, the headlines changed. StoneTech CEO launches new division to provide mobility technology for spinal recovery patients. And right beside her, helping design the prototypes, was Ryan Miller, the man who taught her that healing isn't about walking again. It's about feeling alive again. Every night, when the garage lights dimmed and the city went quiet, Ava would smile, remembering that night in the rain, the blind date disaster that turned out to be the beginning of her new life. Because love doesn't always arrive in shining suits or luxury cars. Sometimes, it walks in with oil-stained hands and a heart strong enough to carry what the world calls broken.